Hello everyone, my name is Mike Hinton. I am a member of Garrison Carida of the 501st, TK5351.
And I'm Colin Durborough, TK97670.
And we're doing this podcast, we're going to call this Carida Cast. This is episode 1, December 7th, 2017. And we decided to do this podcast just to spread word about the 501st and Garrison Carida, which is Eastern PA in particular.
Yeah, that's a totally new thing we're doing. We're really excited to get going. We want to try and reach out, both bring our garrison together, but also maybe provide some information to people out there who don't really know what we do. And yeah, that's
Yeah, so we'll put some contact information at the end of the show if you like the show, and hopefully we'll have many more episodes to come. All right, there we go. Okay, so Star Wars news. We figured we would talk about any Star Wars news worldwide happening around this show.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard, but apparently there's a new movie coming out next week. I don't know. I haven't really been hearing a whole lot about that.
No. I mean, it's like a week away, so this is Thursday. So both of us will be in the theater doing something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
So that's what the forum says.
Right. Penn Cinema?
Yeah, Penn Cinema for me.
Penn Cinema in Lititz, PA. So we'll both be there. I'm not going to be in costume, but we'll be there. The next thing we're talking about was the Jimmy Kimmel show with all the cast.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but they got all those people fitting on that one little interview stage of his. It was really cool. They had names just escaping.
They had all the Jedi first. They had all the except for Finn, but they had everyone that used the lightsaber first.
Yeah, that's right.
So they had Mark Hamill, Daisy Ridley. Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Adam Driver. And then they brought everyone else out. They brought out Andy Serkis. And they talked a lot. It was a short show. They had some stuff. Oh, Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson came out
there too.
And so that was the other news with Ryan Johnson getting 3 movies.
That's right. Yeah, it's a new trilogy after this one.
New trilogy in uncharted area of Star Wars. So they didn't even give us a time.
This will be interesting. Yeah.
So most people were speculating that it's something in the newest one is what made Disney like it so much that they're giving him open reins. So I'm hoping, like a lot of people think it might be like the origin of the Jedi or something like that.
I saw something that it's confirmed that is not Old Republic stuff.
Right.
So whatever it is not going to be Old Republic.
Right. But the Old Republic technically isn't canon, so they could just rewrite all of that too.
I guess that's true.
So
new Old Republic.
Right. Well, I think the Old Republic, or a lot of that sits in way too much time. Like it's just like such a large chunk of time. But that was kind of cool. I like the skits. I mean, I really only watch Jimmy Kimmel if it's Star Wars related. So
yeah, same. Of course. The favorite question that was posed on that show was whether or not they were pro-Porg or anti-Porg.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go pro-Porg for me.
Oh, I'm absolutely pro-Porg.
And I was trying to think back of, you're too young for Jedi, but I was trying to think back of Jedi. And so, like, in this house, we're like anti-Ewok, but only in universe. Like, I like Ewoks as a person. Like, I like them in the movie. But as a person who wears stormtrooper armor, I don't like them. Because they killed all those stormtroopers and they ate them.
Never forget.
So yeah,
Never forget the tragedy of Endor.
Right. So in universe, I don't like them. And there was a magazine out in I want to say 93 or 94, and it was 50 Things We Hate About Jedi. It was like a funny magazine, like one of those thicker ones, like $15 magazines. I don't know what they were back then, but what you would pay $15 for a magazine. And it said 50 Things We Hate About Jedi, and as a joke, it had like 10 or 11 things, but every other one was like Ewoks. It was just a slam on Ewoks, and that made you pay $15 to,
just to slam on Ewoks. Yeah, I guess that sounds about right. Some people that might be worth it.
Right.
But not for Porgs. Porgs are adorable.
Yeah, I think Porgs are going to. There's going to be like Porg. We already have 3 in the house. Missy, Zoe, and Saf. We already have a Porg, and then I think we have at least one Porg Pop, which is probably not in this room, but there's at least one Porg Pop somewhere.
I've been good and limited myself to only one small little Porg plushie. His name is Zilporg the Omniscient.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think Travis is our named Porg here. Is he? Well, Yeah, I'm curious to see how they. I mean, because it looks funny with him with Chewbacca, so I'm kind of excited to see the Porgs and.
But you better believe they're not going to have any importance in the movie at all. They're going to be just an aesthetic that has been used to market and make a lot of money on this cute, adorable little penguin.
What if they store up the Force? Oh, you know, like those lizards that were in Thrawn that took away the Force? What if they're just the opposite?
I would love to see a Porg just
have like a
blast a boulder or something.
Or like you'd have a Porg skin coat or cape. So, but yeah, Porgs, I'm excited to see what they're about. And then our last big Star Wars news, because we were sitting here before we recorded thinking about what Star Wars news, and those speeders that you can buy from, I should remember the name because they said, whatever, the big ones that kids can ride in. I entered a contest about a month ago, and one showed up at my door. I got an email Monday.
Literally 5 minutes ago, it shows up at the door.
Yeah, a big land speeder. So, and they want me to take pictures of my family enjoying it. And hashtag it. So, we're going to have to figure out some way to fit TK armor in that land speeder. So we'll put some pictures when we put up the show notes. We haven't decided how we're going to do all our show notes in this, but I think that's pretty much all our Star Wars news we have for right now. And we'll be right back with more. All right. Garrison news and upcoming events. So this will be the section where we're going to tell you what's good with our garrison and what's coming up.
What's good? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're all good. All the guys.
So, very recently, our friends down in Delaware became their own garrison. They went from the First State Squad of Garrison Carida to the First State Garrison, and we're all very, very happy for them. Very proud, yeah.
Yeah, very proud. And for those that aren't part of our group that are thinking, we're split into geography. So Garrison Carida is Eastern PA and Delaware, and once you reach a couple milestones with enough members and stuff like that, and you have a structure in place, you can split off into your own garrison. And usually most groups do it for a year as a squad, so they kind of become their own group, and then they become their own squad after a year. And Delaware went through it all, and they booked their own events. And I've trooped with some of my first troops almost 10 years ago were with people in Delaware. I know. That's what we should have talked about at the beginning. We should have talked about us trooping and stuff like that. Wow, that's my phone. But that's a really big deal for Delaware, and we're really proud of those guys.
Absolutely.
So they're going to have to start the Delaware cast, I guess.
Yeah, that's their problem.
Right. Yeah. Right. We'll still include Delaware with this until they get theirs up and running.
Yeah. So what do we got? We got coming up soon. This weekend is Steel City Con in Steel City itself, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's actually technically Monroeville, but to us people here, it's just like when people say Lancaster is basically all around Lancaster. Monroeville it's right outside of that. We're actually heading out tomorrow. Me, Zoe, Safi, and Missy. Zoe will be doing Sabine. Safi will probably be doing Ketsu, Tusken Raider, and I don't know, Bat Pug on Star Wars related.
Pug.
Yeah.
All right. And then there's that movie that's apparently coming out again next week. The 14th through 17th are the premieres, where you'll see a lot of Carida around PA at different theaters. Some of them starting earlier in the day. Some of them don't start until later. I know the Penn Cinema one starts at like 3 or 5. That's
right. It depends on the location, and then what people don't understand that aren't in. Everyone does it voluntarily, so almost all of us have to work, to pay for our costumes, and the Death Star doesn't let out till normal hours.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're all over. If you look in Eastern PA and Delaware and anywhere, even if you're listening to this in another state or another country, if there's going to be Star Wars characters there, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Garrison, the 501st, or their local garrison. They'll be joined with Rebel Legion and Mando Mercs. I know for us, we have theaters, pretty much at least one theater, most of the time a lot more, when the Thursday through Sunday. Like I know we're going to the Whitaker Center on Sunday. We're going to troop the Whitaker Center on Sunday. And then we have 3 other events coming up. We have a health center day in Wilkes-Barre, PA, and a Gladfelter Memorial Library. I didn't write the location on the notes, but and then there's Hershey Bears Star Wars night. So if you're listening to this podcast, you want to know where we're going to be, go to Garrison Carida's webpage. You just Google it, and there's a upcoming events page. And if you're in another state, just look for your local Garrison. If you can't find it, and just go to 500first.com, and they'll direct you to your local Garrison.
All the garrisons listed by location under a nice chart. I think there's a map too you can click on that takes you to where they are.
Right. And if you still can't find it, just email. We'll put our contact stuff at the end, but email us and we will try to get you a link, on Facebook or something like that to help you out. Also, with this section of the show, we're going to do mission reports, where in a mission report for someone who's not in it, it's usually like a summary of what happened, right?
Yeah. You talk about the ups and downs of troops, sort of what went down, memorable moments. Sometimes we receive word from people at the event themselves who maybe weren't part of our organization,
right,
but enjoyed what we did, learned how to contact us, and wanted to reach out and either praise us or maybe shoot us down. I haven't had anybody really shoot us down.
I don't think I've seen a negative one, but usually they might even give us pointers. A lot of times, most of the time, if there's anything that to help us with it, it might be someone that said, look, we might say to them, well, we needed better parking or stuff like that. But also that's where we put our pictures. And what we'd like to do is eventually get mission reports from people that were there that aren't part of us. So if you took your kids there to see Stormtrooper, send us some pictures of the different Stormtroopers. I mean, I in the town I live in Quarryville, there's a kid that waits on me at the grocery store. He was hugging me when I was a Stormtrooper at an event a couple years ago. He doesn't have a clue who I was, but he was so excited to get his picture with a Stormtrooper, and I just laugh every time I see him in the grocery store,
They have no idea.
Yeah. So that's our next thing. We're going to do the mission reports and stuff like that here. All right, so it's counted us in already? Okay, good.
I guess we're not getting counted.
No? Maybe because I started. All right, so the next section we thought of doing on this podcast is a CRL closer look. The CRL, for any of those that aren't in the 501st, the CRL is our costume referencing library. And so I do a TK. So I've been in since 2007, so this will be my 11th year starting.
11 years of TK.
11 years of the TK. And I do a New Hope regular TK. Now my armor is FX armor, which we'll talk about on a whole nother show. But I basically do a New Hope. Now yours is...
I am also a New Hope TK stunt, and we'll I guess get to that in a moment.
Right.
So I'm plain old boy in white. I haven't been around that long. Only about a year and a half now, I guess.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So
feels like longer. Huh.
Yeah, well, how long did it take you to get your costume ready?
To build it, about a month.
Okay, so...
And it was a year wait with research.
Okay, so you've been in 2.5 years. You've been in the process 2.5 years.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think so. I'd probably put it about a year. But when I joined, your CRL was like Stormtrooper, and that was it. And if you wanted to be a sand trooper, you just threw on a pauldron. Then you were put some dirt on it. Like it was much different. So we're not going to talk about the different levels right yet, but we're going to look at the CRLs. But just right before we started recording this, we looked. There are, 17 variants?
17, not including Phasma, which is somehow counted under TK.
TK. So now, for those that aren't in, you've learned something new already. TK stands for Stormtrooper.
Yeah. Obviously, T is for the storm, and K is for trooper.
Yeah, that's how they got it. Or it could just be, I guess, in New Hope when the guy said TK 421.
TK 421. Why aren't you at his boat?
Right. So those letters have worked for our favor. But we're going to look today at the TK stunt, which is the one.
Stunt is every TK that's not one of the close-ups.
Right.
All those guys running around in the background, all the guys that are getting shot at and falling on the ground and hitting their heads on the...
That's me, the guy that hit his head on the door. Yeah. That's who I want to be in canon. Now, and the other thing is about this is, if you look at our armor, and I say our armor as 501st, did I say stunt and we were going to do hero? Did I say the wrong one?
We're doing stunt now.
Okay, we're doing... we were going to do hero, I'm sorry. I was looking at the word hero and said stunt. But if you look at our armor, if you watch the movie, our armor's still better than the movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because we don't. Well, I might have some duct tape sticking.
I've got plenty of gaff tape covered.
Right.
On mine, but okay, so maybe our armor is not that much better than the armor in the movies,
but I have some of the So if you go on the 501st and you look up costuming, they'll have the CRL, and it's really pretty cool because it tells you down to the detail. And what is really nice, and we had some people ask us about this, it tells you the detachment. So just like we have garrisons and squads, then we have specialized detachments that help people with the armor. So there's people that are just experts in TKs. So I'm not an expert in TK, but I've been wearing it long enough that you kind of can know when you see one, you know.
Yeah. The other day I was asked, made me laugh. My mom asked me if I could put on a first order helmet and be considered a first order trooper.
Oh, with the same armor.
With the same armor, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, you could.
I thought I taught them better than that, but
I think they did that on Saturday Night Live, didn't they? I think on Saturday Night Live with
that was Ruby's armor. That wasn't even.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Cut that out. So yeah,
nobody has to know.
But it's pretty cool because if you look at the different CRLs, you can see what's different in the armor, and so you can tell, you know, who's different. I mean, and our armor looks. We all kind of know each other. The armor's slightly different a little bit. Like I might have a scratch somewhere. Like I got a black mark on the forehead of mine from I don't know what. I probably walked into something.
Some people have wider strips on their shins, or I myself am recognizable by the very famous big red scratch on my right and left shoulders.
Why is that?
One of them was an Imperial Guard, and the other one, I'm not entirely sure.
Which do you think, who would be madder, an Imperial Guard that has a white scratch, or a TK that has a red scratch?
Oh, probably the Guard with the white scratch. Mine, it's like a battle scar for me. It's natural weathering, whereas for them, they spend forever just getting that one little polish, that just their helmet polished off. So
well, before I was approved, I wore it the Halloween before. I didn't get approved till January, but I wore it to Halloween, and one of the girls ran into me in the leg with her wagon. Oof. So I have a red mark on my one leg. So, but
it's not held up for 10 years. Good. Yeah,
it's a good. I've tried everything. I've tried everything short of painting it, because I always get afraid of, like, I know some guys will say scrub your TK armor with this and that, and mine's starting to yellow because of age. And I find those cleaners, they get it really clean really quick, but then it seems like it yellows really quick. So I get so afraid to go too crazy with I'm like a red.
Well, that's okay. Now you got yourself a brand new pure white Anovos kit to put
together.
Together.
Well, yeah. Well, my garage is the land of kits not put together right now. So anyway, we were looking at this. So I guess the best thing to do for this is, if you go on there, it tells you all these kind of really cool things. And if you're not into the 501st, or you're not in yet, try to find something that's different. So we can teach you something now here. What's the one thing different in a TK helmet from New Hope to Empire?
From A New Hope to Empire?
I mean, there's a bunch, but what's the average?
The most noticeable thing is what we call the frown, which, you know, I like to think of it as more of an upside down smile. But
yes.
The frowns on the A New Hope helmets are gray, but when you watch Empire Strikes Back, all the TK's frowns are black.
Right.
For some reason. I guess it was a detail they thought looked nicer on film, or just...
Yeah, I am curious about that. I mean, because I know, like, and we're just talking about TKs. Now, we said 17 TKs. That doesn't include the sand troopers.
Yeah, that's not... They're a different detachment.
That's a whole other...
Not different detachment, but a different designation.
Right. So, yeah, you know, now you learned a couple things today. TK means stormtrooper. The gray mouthpiece. And then the other thing, which is really neat and which is new. So Colin's been in since this has been a thing, but there's different levels. So when you sign up, it'll tell you in black, which has to be, everything has to be in. Then there's blue, which puts you up to the second level, depending on the attachment. And then there's the red, which I think that used to be green.
It's been red as long as I can remember.
And that's the highest level of accuracy.
Centurion, it's called.
For the TK, it's Centurion, which is really nice, because if you want to be one of those people that just have one suit of armor, you can always have something to work towards. That's what I think.
Yeah. I myself, recently I've been doing some repairs to my armor, so I've been looking at maybe working towards level 2, the expert infantry, they're called. Just because if I'm making repairs, why not make the repairs to then look like the next level up, while I'm already at it. But
now, what do you have to do to your armor to do that? Because see, I'm kind of blind to that because I'm usually building armor for my kids right now.
Let's see. I think the bucket. It seems the only difference is really the bucket. But look at that! I may not actually have much to do. I think I have to redo my my stripes. The stripes on the side of my helmet are dirty and gross and starting to peel off. So. Oh, okay. Yeah, for me to redo pictures of something like that, I would need to just make everything look nice and also fix the cracks that are now in my armor. Shh! Don't tell anybody.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've lucked out with that one. But so you're saying the helmet? Because I think the helmet is probably. I wouldn't say the easiest. It's the hardest to build, but it's kind of the easiest to maintain.
Yeah, and it says on here, it's saying the biggest difference is where the number of screws that are holding it together and the placement of those screws. Those are very, very specific things to look at, and quite frankly, if you go to an event, a child's not going to look up at you and say, "Why do you have an extra screw at the bottom of your ear there?" Like,
oh, okay. So you can have the bottom, or you have?
Oh, you have to 3 screws per side. But I actually, with the way the Innova helmet is, it's actually there is the 3rd screw at the bottom, but it's kind of covered up a little bit by the trim around the base of it. Right?
Okay.
And also, at the same time, it was kind of when I first joined, thought to myself, I decided I wanted to join for the sake of trooping, not so much for being able to say I have the highest level ranking armor or whatever. So it really just hasn't been as big of a priority for me, even though I guess really I'm now noticing there's not a whole lot of work to do.
Well, and being I haven't noticed that, like, if you're not the higher tier, no one treats you. I mean, I'm doing 10-year-old FX armor, and I'm not treated poorly because I'm doing old armor. So it's not, but it is nice to have something to strive for. Just like you said, if you're going to do repairs and you're, I don't care what armor you do, you're doing repairs.
Oh,
yeah. Usually, if I'm not doing repairs, I probably should be doing repairs. But, and so, is there anything else interesting we can tell them about the CRLs in general?
I know some of the groups I'm in on Facebook. A lot of people are always asking questions about. Something called I'm scrolling the wrong way. What's the word? Return edge. A lot of people are confused about something called return edges, and that's where when the plastic is molded, at the edge of it, after you cut it out, there's a little curve around it. Kind of. Some people argue that it gives the plastic more thickness, makes it seem like it's more bulky than it actually is. But there are some things people are always confused, especially on a TK when it comes to the forearms, how much return edge to have. And theoretically, it says for the CRL itself says for the highest level of certification, there is no return edge on the wrist.
Well, that's good, because if they wanted return edge, you would have to buy a whole new forearm.
Yeah, right. But so that's a constant question that people are asking, but always the answer is almost always it's whatever's the most comfortable. On some people, the way the armor fits, that's one of the most important things about putting together armor is how it fits on your body, not just whether or not you're following the exact instructions. It's got to look good on you, but for some people, there's a return edge it'll be digging into them or really pushing things away from where it needs to be, and so sometimes it is better to just cut it off. I've seen people who look just as good with the plastic flat against them as in my case I have a little bit around the edges. I like that sort of feigned thickness deal. So
and I know with like guys, especially with like girls or real thin guys, that return edge, because sometimes the forearms, especially if they're not just quite sized right, they'll spin around, Well, that's good. When it comes to that, I'm looking through this CRL, and it looks like, honestly, the TK's been around the most. I mean, it's basically the founding, Alvin Johnson, who started in a TK armor, and so it's the most researched. Now, some of the Force Awakens stuff is not. Now, that stuff looks. I think I got to lose about 40 pounds to be able to wear that, because that's for a thin person.
Even I have to lose probably 30 pounds to get one of those.
Yeah. So, And then what's nice about the CRL, it tells you what soft goods, what hard goods, and again, if you're listening to this and you might know more than we know, and again, we're just doing this, trying to get some information out. But if you're doing this and you're thinking of joining the CRL, along with your local garrison, is what helps you make stormtrooper armor or whatever armor you want. And so I was trying to explain to someone the other day, they're like, well, I could just go buy this. And I'm like, yes, but I think long term, it's a hobby. You're going to spend more than you have. Every hobby costs you more than you really want to spend, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, but I often feel like if you're in a group like ours, at least Garrison Carida, I can speak for them. I know the guys at Old Line are the same way down in Maryland. They prevent you from wasting money. Because I've seen some guys, I bought this on eBay, and then you look at the CRL and it, because it all looks good. TK armor looks good until you see good TK armor. Like, I thought Ruby's was good until
you started seeing people in real armor.
So, but yeah, check out the CRLs. They're on 500first.com. When I figure out how we're doing our show notes here, I'll put a link in our show notes to go to the Stormtrooper CRL. But again, there's 17 different kinds of Stormtroopers. And Phasma's included in there too.
Yeah, for some reason. Oh, look at that. They have a space pack involved now in the...
Oh, is that the guys that were...
The guys that are standing outside the Death Star
right.
when Falcon's being sucked in. Or not the Falcon, the Imperial transport. Yeah, I guess now they have an actual version of the space pack. Good for them. I'm not going to get one. I'm working on a Sand Trooper backpack, and I'm dreading the day of smashing that into everything. Because Steel City has cost me 2 thermal detonators already. Oof. Just because they have these odd poles once in a while, and everyone always wants a picture right near that pole, and I back up too far, and I hear That's why mine sits kind of... If you're ever at a troop and there's a stormtrooper with a crooked thermal detonator, that's me. Mine, because it's bent. It just sits... It looks like it's going to fall. Every squire comes up and no. It's just that's how it sits. So, okay, yeah.
All right. So this is our opening CRL closer look. Hopefully, we'll have even a closer look, and then
it'll be more fun when we start talking about CRLs that we have no idea about.
Oh yeah, Vader.
Oh god.
That's we start talking about the differences in fabric.
Oh.
Plastic is easy. So anyway, this is our CRL. Hopefully we'll have some more CRLs. And if anyone has requests, again, at the end, we'll put our contact info. All right, so we're almost near the end, and we put something up on Facebook. We were trying not to spoil it, right?
Yeah.
We didn't say here's questions for our podcast.
We tried not to be.
Not to. And then some people were answering the questions. So if you don't like our answer, I guess you can look on Facebook.
Yeah, they'll answer.
Pick an answer.
Star Wars people love to answer your questions.
Yes,
they're very ready to answer your questions.
Yes, that's the best part. I remember telling people in the movies the first time I saw Star Wars, that guy's name's Snaggletooth, because the action figure. His really name wasn't Snaggletooth, but that's what the action figure was called. So, you want to start with the first question?
Yeah, I guess I'll start with the first question. The only question I got, because I guess I have no friends. But this is from Victoria, and she asks if all the costumes have to be homemade. And the easy answer to that is no.
No. Right. But it's a combo. It's a combo. And what's nice now is a Novos, which we could have a whole show of people loving and hating a Novos. But a Novos makes costumes that are very close to being 501st approvable. So you can just go out and buy it, and it's a combination. We were saying right before we turned the mic back on, it's a combination of time, money, and talent. And so you figure because I never built a costume in my life before my TK. That first cut with a razor freaked me out.
Terrifying.
Yeah, because I was worried, man, if I mess this plastic up, I got to go buy more plastic. And I didn't vacuum mold it. I bought a kit. So if you're going to do, I would say we're more expert in TKs because we've done them before. With the TKs, you usually buy a kit from someone, whether it's someone local. We have some makers in Pennsylvania here. We have Luke Cannon Armory makes Vader helmets and Royal Guard helmets, I think right now. That's what they make. And a lot of Vader stuff. So if you're going to do a Vader, I would always send someone to one of our own guys. There's a guy out in California that makes some really good TK kits. Trey in Delaware sells the Moncow kits, which it's a maker of TKs, and then all the other stuff you can either sew, like the neck seals and stuff. You can buy the shoes And part of being part of the group is they help you where to get the stuff.
Yeah. Because what's really important, whether it's you make it yourself or you buy it from somebody else, is just making sure that it fits to you.
Yes.
That's really what's important, is that it looks good on you and that it fits the costume reference library, the CRL.
Right. And that's the group will help you fit that. And again, if you know how to sew, a lot of times people that can sew team up with people that don't, and they kind of trade off their abilities.
Oh yeah.
I wish I knew how to sew, because that seems to be the more expensive stuff.
I've been getting there. I have to do everything by hand because I only own a broken sewing machine. So
maybe you should get that fixed.
Yeah.
Maybe you should enter a contest and win a.
Not all of us can win everything we enter here.
A land speeder contest. All right. So the other next question, and we only have a couple this week, is from Keith. It says, "Is it true when you join the 501st you only become a spotter for the first 2 troops?" And that's at a garrison level, but in the 501st, if you join with a provable costume, you can troop day 1. That's what you did, right?
That's what I did, yeah. I feel actually kind of like a jerk for doing that, just like stepping in off the street with a costume on. But it was admittedly a little strange coming into it. I had never really I'd been to conventions before, but the event I did was a charity walk and run at the Iron Pigs Stadium.
Oh, okay. You traveled for your first trip.
I traveled for I was excited. I got the approval, and I was like, a week later, I got to get myself in a troop.
What did you carry your armor in the first time?
I got myself the same tote that I use, because
I
used my Lowe's discount to get that 50-gallon tub. I was ready. I was prepared to get
I carried mine around for years, and then finally had to carry it too far, and I was like, I'm getting wheels.
But yeah, so that was my experience. I admit that had I known that we really had this sort of, our garrison has the academy program to get people in and get them squiring and have them be involved without necessarily having a costume, I would have enjoyed that opportunity, because I would have liked to get to know the garrison a little bit, the people that I was trooping with, maybe before I had dove right into it. That being said, I also really, really, really wanted to troop right away, so I just did.
Yeah, and so that's the good question. I mean, you don't have to do it, but if you were on the fence of joining, and I know in our group we have the academy, and the nice thing about the academy is you get to know people, but also then you find out even more inside information. And you can see if you're on the fence of what armor you want to buy, you can see how it goes on. Sometimes it's fascinating just to watch guys suit up. I still love watching Boba Fett. I mean, I don't know a Boba Fett yet that can dress themselves.
I have never met one. No, that could do that.
So
it's always at least a 2-person job.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen like 3 separate non-costuming people just trying to help get things on.
Yep. So it wouldn't hurt. I'm saying it wouldn't hurt to do it first, but you don't have to. So and squiring is fun. You'd be surprised what you see. Like that would be a whole podcast in and of itself of people that just don't do costumes but go to the stuff.
Just squire.
And then that leads into our question about why does it have to be an expensive hobby? Well, every hobby is expensive, but this can be expensive. But if you go back to what we were saying in the last question, if you start squiring and stuff like that, you learn inside information, but also it becomes more than just buying armor, I think.
Yeah, I guess so, because you're learning where to go. People in the 501st in general are usually pretty good about telling you beforehand what works best and what doesn't. There's always a lot of people willing to give their advice on where to go for things, how to, if you're thinking, you can say you're looking at something, you found something online, maybe a piece of clothing or armor that you think you think would be okay, but you bring that up to these people that you're trooping with, even if you're not in costume, and they'll pretty much tell you right away, like, hey, look, this is either good or maybe you should try this option instead. And you find you'll save a lot of money if you look into other options before immediately pressing, order now.
Oh, yes, and you'll save. It kind of goes back to the handmade question from Victoria. Too, is once you get to know people, everyone has different skill sets. So you have someone who can sew, and you can, and that's where you can help out with a little bit of that cost. Is you get to know people, and people will help you out. Honestly, as a group of costumers, it was surprising to me that everyone was willing to help. Because it always seems like when you're doing something, I've done other hobbies such as paintball and all that, and those guys, they just want to talk about their expensive gun, but they don't want to help you. I mean, I'm sure there's some, but I'm amazed at how many people want to help you. So I hope that helps you, Doug. But the good thing, Doug, when it comes to expenses, my advice to anyone is whatever costume you want to do that one. Even if it's don't settle for a costume. I've seen too many people in the almost 11 years I've been doing it.
Yeah.
They settle for a costume. It's not fun for them. Like if you want to be that odd costume, but that's what you want to do, and it's going to cost you, just take your time and take a little longer to do it.
The other thing I would suggest is keep an eye on the market. Because when I got my armor, the company, we could again talk an entire show about Anovos and whether or not people like them. But I got my armor when they were doing a deal where it was $350 for the kit because they didn't know if it would sell well. So I got, admittedly, kind of lucky because I'm a poor postgraduate college kid. So I really didn't have a whole lot, and I was kind of relying on that low price point to get my armor. And I know not everybody else has the same opportunity, but really, if you're paying attention to the market, joining a lot of these Facebook groups where there are a lot of building groups, things like that, they'll tell you like what the cheapest options are, so you don't have to go straight to that initial fully built $1,200 kit deal.
And they also know stuff like my Sand Trooper arm that I'm working on now. A guy did a pool, Moncal did a pool, and he had orange peel down along the leg, so I paid $300 for the kit, where it was selling for $650. Now, it was different when I bought my kit. You had two choices. You had some company I didn't know about, and FX, and the only thing, they were both $750. That was it. But the FX kit came trimmed, rough trimmed. Yeah. So I was like, rough, and it came with all the strapping. So that's what sold me. Now I wish I would have bought the other one, because then my FX bucket wasn't. It's not 100%. I don't know if you ever saw my FX bucket. It's like humongous compared to the one.
They got the big tubes around the bottom too, right?
Yep. They were made, the FX, which is this we could have done other part of the show. They were made with what someone thought the stormtrooper should look like, because the stormtrooper is not symmetrical. Yeah. So they thought, well, look, let's fix what was done wrong, and so they made it. So it almost, to me, looks like the Rebels version of the TK.
Yeah.
Like they could have always just said, hey, we don't need this animated when we could just use the FX. So hopefully that answers. That was Doug. So it will always be expensive, but again, if you think of the previous two questions, you can kind of do some of that.
The next question comes from Thibault.
That sounds good. If we're terrible at names, so if you're writing a question and your name is difficult for us,
objectively confusing.
Yes, let us know.
So his question, or her question, sorry, this is your friend, not mine. On larger events, when there are multiple garrisons involved working together, how do you tell each other apart? And the example they placed was Star Wars Celebration, where it was a lot of garrisons kind of coming together. Right.
Well, the plus side is, like, I was at Celebration. I didn't take armor, but I went to the Garrison Bash and stuff like that. Out of armor, everyone's wearing their Garrison swag. So you know who's who.
Oh, they'll tell you where they're from.
I wear Garrison Carida polo shirts to work every day. My students, they don't even know what it is. They're like, "What's that number on your arm, Mr. Hinton?" I'm like, "I'm not telling you. It's math." But so I wear my swag every day. But that's the easy part. But with the bigger events, I wasn't involved in Celebration, but I went to Air and Scare in Virginia, and they had spreadsheets. And it was, you signed up ahead of time, all the online stuff. It's almost like all the good things of the internet help you organize those groups. But the bigger question to that is, when you get big events, the garrison in the geography of that location is in charge. So Florida Garrison, I wish I could remember their name. I'm going to have to start getting a list of all the names. If we
just put it right.
Yeah, big map right on the wall. They would be in charge of Celebration in Florida, where Southern California Garrison, they would be in charge of Celebration if it's on the West Coast. I think Empires, if something would be in New York. If it's in Philadelphia, our Garrison Carida would be in charge. So, and it actually goes for a volunteer organization. I'm amazed at how smooth stuff like that goes.
Yeah. just because it's pretty clear about who is in charge of the flow of information, at least from the full 501st level. When it's, you're not going to find New York people in charge of the Florida event.
Right.
So that's why we have these nice, clear-cut designations for our garrisons who are, that's how to divide the responsibility, and that's why it's pretty easy.
And I think that's why Disney calls on us, like the 501st in general. I think as to the outsiders, those that are listening that aren't members, it may seem a little funny that a bunch of us guys dress as Star Wars and have all these rules, but I think that's what part of it makes us professional. Like we conduct ourselves professionally, we organize professionally, and it's amazing the amount of time I think of just like our events coordinators in Garrison Carida, the amount of time they put of their own time just to make sure we have good events, make sure we have good parking, and they do that. They don't get a dime for any of that, and a lot of times they don't even get a thank you. We just grumble because I had to carry my tote upstairs. So hopefully that answers your question. But it's really organized. I'm really surprised. And if you listen to the 501st cast, the worldwide one, you'll hear mission reports from all different countries. Like, and if a country is even hit with like a natural disaster, you'll hear like how the garrisons around there rallied together.
Very quick to come together and help out, gathering donations to send to where they need to be.
Yeah, when I started, the only thing the 501st did was toy drives. That's all. We didn't have Blast the Trooper, food drives. We just collected toys. That was it. So it's
back when dinosaurs were.
Yes, we had to collect toys for the dinosaur babies. Dinosaurs were science fiction.
So I hope that answers your question. Otherwise, you can tell other people apart from each other because they will tell you they're from what garrison.
Oh, yeah.
They will definitely introduce introduce themselves. Hi, my name is Colin from Garrison Carida.
Yep. The changing room sometimes, because then people have swag, they want to trade. Like, I took 26 patches down to Celebration, and I almost forgot and give them all away and forgot to keep one for me and the kids. Because I was trading patches with people and stuff. So yeah, everyone's always happy to tell where they're from. I went to one of the last Star Wars days at Disney, and I was wearing my Garrison Carida shirt. The CO, commanding officer of Hawaii, came up to me. We were talking in line. Like it was just such a really cool event. Like, and that wasn't even an event. It's just talking about your different. Yeah, it's like a brother and sisterhood worldwide. Now we have a question from Paul.
I was going to say, you want to take this one?
Paul, he is it hot in there? So I think Paul's just because I know who Paul is, and I know he's a biker scout and a shore trooper. And that's the question we probably get asked the most when we're trooping. Is it hot in there?
Is it hot in there?
And it is.
I bet you're sweating in there. Yeah.
Yep, and it is. It is, buddy.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But honestly, I found, like when I first trooped, I would never drink any water because I was like, oh man, what if I have to go to the bathroom? Because in a TK, you got to practically suit down. But then I realized if it's really hot and I drink a lot, I'm just going to sweat it all out. And it's like mind over matter. Like if you sit there and think how hot you are, you're going to be really warm.
More warm.
Yeah.
But you don't have any fans in your helmet.
No,
I have no idea how you do that. I have one fan in mine, and it some days is like that thing that saves me between life and death. I have no idea how you do it.
It's that buzz that bothers me. I'd rather be a little warm than have that buzz. So I mean, maybe I'll put a fan in it one of these days. I got the new Sand Trooper bucket I really love. So
got more space. You got it.
It's
soundproof in there, so you don't have that buzz.
Yeah, well, I did it with I coated it with truck bed liner.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I just don't need. Also, honestly, to be honest with you, it'd be one more battery I forget to bring. That's because I got my amp, and I forget half the time. I forget to charge my amp. I forget my 9-volt for my other one. So
I keep my battery just permanently Velcroed to the inside of my bucket. And when the battery dies, I immediately stick a new thing of Velcro on that battery and stick it inside my bucket. Never forget if it's always in there.
You have a spreadsheet of all your troops. See, I'm not that organized. I'm like, oh crap, I'm supposed to troop tomorrow. So I'm not that organized. All right, and this is Sungam. Sungam, we're gonna
our last question here. Yeah.
Is it true confirmed costumes years later must be proven again? So I'm thinking you're meaning if you joined years ago and your costume kind of got outdated, then you have to be approved. That's a kind of a yes and a no question. So if you're in, so I've been in 11 years, I have an FX kit. The FX kit isn't approvable anymore. But since I've stayed in good standing, I don't have to be approved again.
Good standing meaning that you've met the minimum number of troops per year required by the Legion, which is it's just one.
It is one. It is one.
Troop
and honestly, it's less than one a year because if you miss that 1 year mark, they give you a month to get it.
Oh, so, yeah, I guess that's
you know what I mean.
There's wiggle room, yeah.
But there is wiggle room. But yes, it's no if you stay current. But let's say you join, something happens, you don't troop for a couple of years, and you come back, then you do have to be approved because the standards are always changing, and they want everything to look as nice as possible. I think I always look at the standards as more of just making the group better, not trying to exclude people.
Yeah.
Now, and I know sometimes the GMLs kind of get treated badly because they have to tell people no sometimes, and that's really hurtful if you've been working on it. You said you worked on a month. If you work on something for a month and then someone says, well, it doesn't look right, that's kind of... Did you make it through the first time?
I did not. I actually got sent back because the spaces, my thighs didn't look right. Something was weird about how they were fitting. I think I had the wrong gloves. I submitted pictures with the gloves, the crappier set of gloves that I use that are more rugged for trooping instead of the very, very, very gross rubber gloves that came with the kit. And also my shoulder bells they were too far away from my chest. So they were small things. I didn't have to make too many huge changes to mine. And this was my first build ever. I wasn't insulted.
That's not bad. No, I got deferred the first time because my Under Armour logo stuck out here.
Seen underneath
so I just went and got a Sharpie. It's like, how's that look? We didn't really have high res pictures back then. It was just like. So.
Yeah. Well, that being the other possibility with this question is we don't have to resubmit pictures every year. No. That's not something. Once we're in, you're not like we do a thing called the census where we have to confirm that we're still a member and confirm that we're in good standing with the Legion. We didn't break any of the rules or cause huge problems, do anything that would end up getting us on, I guess, probation.
Right.
But as part of that census, we're not required to send in what our costume looks like now.
Right. And then the only other thing that's maybe not the same question but kind of is, if you get rid of your costume and give it to someone else, they have to submit to be approved.
Yes.
Because it has to be put on the person being approved. Now, occasionally, the GML has the power to like give a temporary waiver. So like if you're going to an event with like a friend, sometimes they'll give a temporary waiver. Like if we're short troopers, that someone can throw one on.
Somebody can throw on extra.
I wouldn't recommend that anyway because it's hard enough to wear the armor that fits you, let alone one that is not.
You gotta really trust somebody to put your armor on them. I have yet to ever do that. Sometimes I'll let people try on the bucket.
Yeah, that's about as far as I go. I did let my students wear it once. I took it in for school one day after some kids stayed after.
Just the bucket, or
no? I took the whole armor and we sewed them all up.
And they were like what, walking around?
The one kid was about my size, so it actually fit him better than it fit me. But the one kid, the one little guy, he was a little guy, and it looked pretty funny. So okay, that's our question. So we're going to come back and we'll give you all of our contact info. All right, so wow, we've been recording for over 45 minutes for our first podcast.
Yeah, it's longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I thought we would be like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just talked too much.
Yeah.
I guess is what it was. I couldn't keep my mouth shut.
Well, we did have miscommunication because I was ready to Skype you and you were parked in front of my house, so that was that's maybe, you know.
Yeah, you know me. I like to do things old school.
I like it this way. I like it this. I'm glad it started out this way. So here's how you can find us. We have the website, www.caridacast.com. What we'll start probably with just posting up the show notes, and then hopefully if people like it, we'll put more stuff up. We can maybe put some pictures of, troops that we've done and stuff like that. We have Carida Cast on Facebook.
Yep, Carida Cast on Facebook. And then also, if you guys want to reach out to either Mike or myself, you can contact us directly at Mike at CaridaCast.com or Colin at CaridaCast.com. Only I'm Colin with one L, not Colin with two L's.
Did I type it
wrong?
wrong?
No, you typed it.
Okay, good.
A lot of people think Colin with two L's because that's the quote-unquote normal way to do it. So.
Right. Well, and I would recommend that if they do, when you email us, just put CaridaCast in the subject line, too.
Yeah.
Just so we know that you've at least heard the show. Feedback is welcome. Hopefully, it's good feedback.
Yeah, we want to see those. We want to see those likes on Facebook. We'll start sharing some posts, sharing some Garrison news, sharing some 501st news, even.
Yes.
Just so that way, we're not just living under rocks and such. This
Correct.
is bad. I don't know what to say. I'm just
no, but that's good.
That's what you do. You share stuff to be relevant, and we're gonna try and be as relevant as we can.
And we're gonna start it monthly. Now we say that monthly, and we're heading into Star Wars season. So
so this is the first and last episode of the 2017.
2017. So hopefully next time we'll be talking about The Last Jedi and getting ready for Han Solo. Yeah. Well, it could go well. It could go well. So we'll post this up. We're gonna have this on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and anywhere we can find podcasts. So if you are listening to this on any of those, please rate it. Hopefully a 5-star rating, because that's what pushes us up in the searches. The higher your rating. So thanks again, and may the Force be with you.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.